Hello, and welcome to episode 307 of the Casual Try Hard Podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and today we're talking about Ether Drift first look stuff.
Yeah, we're going to go over the mechanics, basically. Typically, we do this before a set comes out, talk about the mechanics, maybe some weird rule stuff, maybe some weird interactions that might be possible before we start looking at cards. And hopefully next week, I think we'll have at least most of the limited signposts so we can start talking about limited archetypes.
Yeah. All right, so if you want to reach out to us on social media, if you have cards that you want us to talk about or things of that nature, you can find us at a number of different places. We are on Twitter at CasualTryPod, Facebook, CasualTryHardMTG. We have an email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. Discord, and we now have Blue Sky.
Ooh.
We are at CasualTryHardMTG.bsky.social. There we go.
That's a mouthful.
We've now entered the revolution here. So I got to make sure I put that in the show notes. But all those are in the show notes. So if you have cards that you want us to talk about or things like that, let us know.
Yep. Links will be down in the description. Most people, unless you're a patron, don't have access to the show notes, so you won't be able to get them there. But it's a good time to mention Patreon. If you're looking to support the show, the best way to do it is via our Patreon, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Sign up, chip a couple bucks in, help to support the show. You get access to about another hour of content out of us every week in the form of our unshow. We're old, we're technology averse. It tends to break a lot, so we spend about an hour before every show making sure everything is working the way it's supposed to and catching up because we don't see each other nearly as often as we used to. And we pipe it into our patrons' ear holes every week, completely unedited, unscripted. You never know what we're going to talk about. We never know what we're going to talk about, and we like to keep it that way. Patrons also get access to the show notes that Brian mentioned a little while ago. If you wanted to get our socials there, you can certainly sign up for Patreon and get them.
Oops.
That's all right. If any of that sounds good to you, or if you just want to support the show, like I said, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. The other way is through our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, whatever shopping you're going to do. You can buy literal anything, and we will get a portion of it at your checkout to help support the show. Doesn't cost you guys anything extra. They don't raise their prices just so they can give us a little cut. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Really helps us out, so we'd appreciate if you use that. CasualTryHard.com/TCG.
All right, so we've got new cards and new mechanics. So our first mechanic is speed.
Speed.
And starting of one's engines. So speed and start your engines. So this is as we have got here, a new trait that a player can have. A player can have speed.
Sure.
Many Magic players live a sedentary lifestyle and don't often have speed. But now we have speed.
Now you get some.
So if you have no speed and you play a card with the start your engines mechanic, I'd like to point out this is the second mechanic in Magic's history that has an exclamation point on it.
Oh, what was the first?
For Mirrodin.
Oh, yeah. Does that mean that just like when you drafted for Mirrodin, you had to say, for Mirrodin?
Yeah, you gotta play these and go, start your engines.
Start your engines.
So
vroom.
When you play a card that has the start your engines, there's then like a paragraph of reminder text. And if you have no speed and you play a start your engines card, you have a speed of 1. Your speed becomes 1.
Just for starting your engine, you get 1 speed.
Yes, you're idling. That is your idle pace is 1 speed just for starting your engine. And then you can increase your speed by 1 once a turn if your opponent took damage. Right?
Does
If
it
your
take
opponent
damage or lose life?
loses life. If your opponent loses
Okay.
life. So I guess if one of these makes it into an older format, like I guess this would impact like when you'd want to like correct fetches and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I guess you don't have to deal damage; they just have to lose life somehow.
Right. But it only triggers on your turn. So if your opponent corrects their fetch on their turn,
Yes, but if you like normally you would crack a fetch on your opponent's turn, right?
Right.
And if your opponent has speed, you don't want to do that. But speed can only increase once each turn.
yep.
So when you play, is that yeah? I guess like so if you were to play, a card with start your engines and your speed goes to 1, and then like you were to attack, your speed wouldn't go to 2.
It does go to 2.
It does.
Yeah, that ability only triggers once per turn.
Okay.
So you start your engines and you get speed 1, and then if your opponent loses life, the ability will trigger once per your turn, and it would go to 2.
Okay. So, this is the thing. When you hit max speed, which max speed is 4, there's then a like static ability, like you've met a condition, and then the card does something extra.
Yeah, this card that we're looking at right here is Streaking Oil Gorger. It's the one that was used for an example. It's 4 and a black for a 3/3 vampire with flying and haste, and it has start your engines, and it also has max speed. This creature has lifelink. So this has a static ability that will, as long as you have max speed, this will have lifelink. From what I've seen in some of the other cards, I think most of them are triggered abilities, where it'll, like, when the thing ETBs, if you have max speed, it does a thing. So I don't think they're all static abilities.
Well, there's a land cycle that has activated abilities where like when it has max speed, now a creature can get haste.
That's true. Yep.
Or there's the one that it becomes an ancient tomb.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a hodgepodge of things, as you astutely pointed out in the unshow.
Mm-hmm.
One does not get speed counters. One just becomes speed.
Becomes the speed.
Yes. So I was like, oh, you could proliferate the speed. Speed does not proliferate because speed is not counters.
Yep.
Speed just is.
Yeah.
So.
Does it... Yeah, there's no... So I have the token here up on the screen. And it basically says on the token what we just said, but nowhere on here does it mention a counter. And in the definition, like the reminder text on the cards, it doesn't mention a counter either. So even though this card visually has places to put a counter to track your speed, does not use a counter for gameplay purposes.
Yes. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird.
It kind of reminds me, the thing that I was going to say is it kind of reminds me of City's Blessing.
Yeah.
Where it's a thing that like starts when a condition is met and then like just happens and you don't like interact with it at all. Like if you lose a card that like starts the City's Blessing, you don't lose the City's Blessing. Same with start your engines. Like if you play your Streaking Oil Gorger and start your engines, and then your Streaking Oil Gorger dies, but your opponent still loses life on your turn, you still like count this forward.
Okay.
Like once this thing has started, you can't ever stop your engines.
It's like day night. Like you get into the cycle.
Yeah.
And it's there whether or not the card's there or not.
Yep.
This one's going towards the top of the Hall of Missed Triggers.
Definitely.
Like this is just
right up there with day night.
Yeah. I think day night is like first, but this is like right up there. You're gonna like play some card on like turn 2, and then you're gonna like it's gonna be turn 8, And
Yeah, you need to care about it on turn 11 and nobody has.
yeah, no one has, and you're like, can we just agree that I have maximum speed now?
Yeah.
So whatever this
What's your life total? Have you lost 4 life?
Yeah, so this burn spell deals 5 instead of 3 or whatever it's gonna do. So I can kill you. Yeah, it is fine. Like, it seems.
Oh, so here's something weird. Sorry to interrupt your thought.
That's right.
The text on Start Your Engines here, the token, says whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, if your speed is 1 or greater, increase your speed by 1. So 2 things. The first is that they mentioned during the announcement stream or whatever that there is a card that will make you lose speed.
So you can go to 0 speed.
You could go to 0 and then this wouldn't trigger. Because you have to have 1 speed for it to trigger. So I guess you can turn off your engine.
Or someone can.
Someone can turn off your engine. The second thing is, it says max speed is 4. This ability triggers only once each turn. And the reminder text is your turn, so it doesn't trigger on your opponent's turn. But this is a triggered ability on a piece of cardboard that's not in the game.
It's not in the game, and
is that the first time we've had that? Or I guess some of the emblems are triggers, right?
Yeah, but I was gonna say emblems, yes, but something big happened to build up to that emblem.
Right.
This is play a 2-mana 2/2.
Yeah.
And get speed, and then immediately trade it off for your opponent's 3/2, and then hopefully remember.
Well, what I meant was it's weird that it's a triggered ability that goes onto the stack but doesn't come from a game object.
Yeah, because this is often is it the command zone?
Yeah, wherever emblems live.
Yeah. This is the speed zone.
The speed zone. Fast and the Furious 11, the speed zone.
There you go. We gotta get altars of this with Vin Diesel.
Absolutely. We could make the 1, 2, and 3 a drag racing tree.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Why did they do that?
I don't know. They should have.
Red, yellow, green, and then
yeah, go.
Yeah. Wizards, call us. We have ideas for you. Just write in big letters "family" across it. Yeah, it's just an odd this kind of goes into the types of mechanics that they're doing that where you just kind of feel like this is kind of hacky and dumb.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just bottom up design or top down, right?
Yeah.
Right, where it's well, we're doing a racing set, so we went racing themed mechanics.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's just sometimes you just be this one's dumb, guys. We can't do this. People are gonna read it and then laugh until they read our next mechanic, and then they'll be like,
well, hang on. Let's pause for a second before we get to the next mechanic. I have one more thing that I want to say about this mechanic, and then I have another question for you. We mentioned that max speed is 4.
yes.
And the card that we showed specifically mentions being at max speed.
Mm-hmm.
But they said that there are cards that will reference your speed level and have effects varying accordingly.
Okay.
So if you have a speed of 2, it might do a different thing than a speed of 3 or a max speed.
Gotcha.
For whatever that's worth. Just throwing it out there.
Infinitely worse, but okay.
Yep. So my question for you is, how close are we to somebody building a deck that's just all of these weird things?
What do
like
you mean?
initiative, dungeons, speed, city's blessing.
Oops, all like reminder cards or whatever.
Oops, no battlefield. Just all
All
command
card.
zone all the time.
I mean, you could like this seems like to get the initiative, you have to be in. Oh, yeah, you have to be in legacy. But you could like go into a dungeon,
Yep.
like just a bunch of things that like venture into a dungeon and like.
How cluttered can we make the arena interface?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Like saffron olive. Like, can we get all of these? How many things can we make Sparky wade through? Yeah. I know I know it just feels hacky. I feel like I've said that with a bunch of mechanics as of late.
Yep.
Now, in their defense, they typically play okay
Yeah.
when you play limited, but they still feel on some level like this is going to be like a video game term, but like immersion breaking.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a big part of video games of like we don't want to break the immersion. You want like your player to feel like they're in the world. And so many of these like new mechanics that they've done feel like you're no longer in the world.
Right.
They're just like you are playing a game as opposed to I think at other points in Magic's history you definitely had the like you are a wizard dueling another wizard.
Yeah.
And now you're just like you're someone who hasn't taken a bath in 2 weeks playing
I
someone
gotta
else.
start my engine, crank up my contraption, get my sticker sheet out, earn some tokens. Hopefully I got the initiative so I get to start my engine first.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
all right. And it's weird.
I picked a ring bearer.
Yeah, I have a ring bearer. Yeah, because like you could be like
I got Gandalf crewing the death cycle.
Gandalf cruise the death cycle, and the death cycle is going to attack you. You're gonna get blocked by Frodo.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Whee!
Whee!
All right. The next mechanic
Yep.
is simultaneously a panic and a mechanic and a pun.
Yes.
It is exhaust.
The card we have to show off exhaust is Prowcatcher Specialist. 1 in a red for a 2/1 Goblin Warrior with haste. And it has exhaust, 3 in a red. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature. And the reminder text is activate each exhaust ability only once.
Correct. So they're just activated abilities that you only get to use one time.
Mm-hmm.
Another
So what
tracking
are your puns?
nightmare. Well, you've got like it's exhaust like vehicle
exert.
exhaust,
Yeah.
right? And then you have exhaust as in I've exerted and I'm not
Right.
tired.
They could have just called it Mega Exert.
Mega exert. Yeah. Yeah, it's super, yeah, whatever. Yeah, mega, to stick with the megamorph.
Yeah.
Extreme exertion.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it is a fine ability. It is a fine mechanic. But it definitely screams digital card game.
Yeah. You mentioned it being a tracking nightmare. One thing I will say is during the stream that they had, they mentioned that exhaust will almost always have an effect on the game that will let you know that you have used it. So a lot of them use counters.
Okay.
So that hopefully you'll know that the counter that's on the thing came from the exhaust ability, and like that's how the counter got there. But they also said a lot of them will make specialized tokens that could have only come from an exhaust ability.
Okay.
So like that helps a little bit, but it doesn't help in the regard that like you might have two of or multiples in your deck.
Yeah.
That the effect could have come from a different one. Or if you flicker one of these, it's when it enters, it's a new game object, so you can exhaust it again.
Oh, did this token come from
Right.
this instance of it, or did I flicker it?
Right.
And like, depending on what the token is, if the token is gone,
Right.
right? Like, hey, if I acted like 7 turns later, like in some like, not that we get like terribly stalled limited board states anymore, but like in some like stalled board state, did I activate this? And you had, but you lost your like whatever,
Yeah.
whatever your like token was.
Super duper motorcycle.
Yeah. Chandra's Trike or whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah. Well, the Chandra Planeswalker makes a
motorcycle.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it is working on the assumption that like you are dealing with people that are like 100% locked in and aren't going to try to like scumbag you.
Right.
So but it does feel like we are now predominantly a digital game. What are digital mechanics that we can do? No one flipped the table over Screaming Nemesis having like an untrackable
Right.
thing. So we're just going to do more of them.
Yeah. That's now a thing that we're allowed to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a super interesting mechanic. It is like exert, kind of.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's fair to call it not a super interesting mechanic because, like, this mechanic is incredibly open-ended.
It is.
Like, you can literally put anything after the cost of exhausting. Like, you could exhaust 2 generic, make a Merit Liege.
What I mean by not super interesting is there's not a huge difference between this and like another activated ability. Other than that, this activated ability might be more powerful because it's a one shot. But like 3 in a red put a +1/+1 counter on a thing is an ability that like I'm almost positive we have. Right? The fact that it's 2 +1/+1 counters is better, but then you're limited to doing it once.
Right.
But like I feel like you could any single activated ability that exists in Magic could just be an exhaust ability.
Sure.
So that's why I was like, it's not like it is like in terms of design. Like you have like created new design space to just like take something that was 4 mana and make it 2 and call it an exhaust ability.
Yeah.
Like it's too powerful to do for 2 mana, but if you can only do it once, then it might be okay.
I have an example of that. Did you want to talk about it real
Sure.
quick? Oh, why is it so small?
It's so little.
Hang on, let me try this again.
There's loot shrinkage.
Yeah, I don't know why
It's-
it popped up so small.
It's cold in both places, so some shrinkage is
Let's
understandable.
see if I can make it bigger.
So Loot is our friendly, unofficial Magic mascot. There we go.
Yeah.
Loot the Pathfinder. He is 2 and Teamer mana for a 2/4. Double Strike, Vigilance, Haste. It has Exhaust Green. Add 3 mana of any one color.
Also has Exhaust Blue, draw 3 cards, and Exhaust Red. Loot deals 3 damage to any target.
Sorry, I was dying there.
What's kind of interesting here is it has multiple exhaust abilities, and you can use each of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like the one exhaust is like Loot's super tired and can't do any of them anymore. You can do each of them once.
Yes.
Like that's a little bit interesting, and these are significantly more powerful than putting counters on something.
Yes. This one, untrackable.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, did I dome you for 3 with Loot already? Let's try again.
Yeah.
Though
Did I draw 3 cards? I definitely didn't. I'm definitely going to draw 3 cards.
I will say that, like, if you read this creature as 2 green, blue, blue, red, ETB, draw 3 cards.
Yes.
like that's pretty good.
Yes, it is.
It's pretty good. 6 mana, 2/4 that drew you 3 cards.
Double strike, vigilance, haste.
Yeah, it's like an opportunity that like gave you a body.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So each one can be used, but I don't know, it just feels like, and the fact that like someone at WotC has just been super into puns as of late. It's like they can't help themselves.
Yeah.
And this is another one. But it's fine. Like, it doesn't seem like a, like, great, like, limited archetype. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it's a whole archetype. Like, nobody's going to build an exhaust deck. I think it's just something that's going to fit into, like, all of these. I don't think you're going to build a deck around the mechanic. They just kind of all fit into, you know, whatever the format's doing.
I think the blue-green signpost is like I get a thing every time you use an exhaust ability.
Oh, is it?
I think. When everything crashed, I kind of lost everything, but that's all right. We're gonna get back to it. We're gonna figure it out. But yeah, I do believe it is.
Oh, there's a mono green there's a mono green card that says during your turn, as long as you haven't activated an exhaust ability this turn, you may activate exhaust abilities as though they haven't been activated.
Okay. So and then yeah, let me look. I thought the blue green one was like, maybe that's the card I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I don't. At least on Mythic Spoiler, I don't see.
Here, whenever you activate an exhaust ability, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature with flying. It's a vehicle for 1 blue-green with crew 1. It's
there it is. I see it now.
Yeah, so like, it just seems like an odd thing. Like, I just assumed, because like, when's the last time we have had like a set mechanic that they haven't been like, there's a deck for this.
Right.
All right. So what's our next happy little mechanic here?
Well, next up, we're into some stuff that's kind of no-brainers, and they're not new mechanics.
Okay.
The next one is vehicles. We all know how vehicles work. The one that they use to show off the mechanic here is Midnight Mangler. It's 1 and a blue for a 3/3. And during during turns other than yours, this vehicle is an artifact creature. So on your opponent's turn. And it has crew 2. One of the things that they said during the stream that wasn't in the article, and it wasn't in the debut video or whatever either, is that they wanted, because this is like the racing set or whatever, they wanted to make sure the number of vehicles in the set was very high, like at the top of what is possible in a Magic set.
Okay.
And they said the limiting factor to that is that you need creatures to crew the vehicles, so you can't just have all vehicles in the set and no creatures, otherwise it'd be a really boring limited game. So what they did is they tried to shoehorn a bunch of these, like, other ways to make it an artifact, or to crew it.
Mm-hmm.
So that, like, there's other ways to turn them on other than tapping your creatures.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I saw a comparison of this to, you know how we always have some version of, like, 1 in the blue, 3/3 with defender, or 3/3 that can't attack. Yep. And then do set mechanic thing to get an attacker. Yep. This is kind of that, right? It is.
No, it's absolutely that.
It is one in the blue for a 3/3 that can't attack, but it gets to block.
Right.
And then do set mechanic, which in this case is crew, and now it gets to attack.
Yep.
I mean, this is interesting. I've goofed around with a Metalwork Colossus deck. And the fact that this is a 3/3 that can slow down aggression.
Yep.
Is good, but then
it also contribute to Metalwork Colossus. Yep.
I guess the like problem for this, like from like a, not that I think this is going to see actual constructed play, is this just gets like swept up like all the time. Like you just
Oh,
can't
yeah.
avoid play my vehicle that dies to Wrath of God.
Yeah, your vehicle never dodges a sweeper, which is
Never.
like the one thing the vehicles had going for them.
That is a big thing. I know they had spoiled a vehicle earlier, like right at the very beginning. It was like exile an artifact from your graveyard to crew it.
There was another card that I kind of wanted to get your opinions on during pre-show, but I forgot.
Oh man,
And now I don't see it. It was like an Asika's chariot.
there's the one that when
It was-
something dies, you make a 2/2.
Yeah, it's like a cat.
It's black.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't see it in Mythic Spoiler.
Crypt Collar Chariot.
Yeah, that's the
3
one.
and a black for a vehicle with menace. It's a 5/5 with crew 2. And whenever you discard one or more cards, create that many tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. What do you think of that guy?
It's kind of zombie infestation.
Yeah.
Right, it doesn't enable it, but if you have some way to discard, I mean, the fact that they're tapped does make it a little bit safer.
Yeah.
But like, if you play this and you have some discard outlet,
Like Lily?
Lily, I was thinking some way to like discard quickly, like on the end of your opponent's turn, you just turn
sure.
all the cards in your hand into 2/2s,
Yeah.
and
Well, isn't there a card that does that? Isn't there a black card that's both players discard their hands and then each player makes that many 2/2s?
is it Dark Deal or Bad Deal?
No, that's not the one. Maybe that is also,
make-
but that's not the one I was
oh.
thinking of.
Oh yeah, where it's just, oh my gosh, did we find the spot for one with nothing?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Pay a black, turn my hand into,
Into 2/2s.
but like this with zombie infestation,
Yep.
where you're like, make 2 zombies, we'll make 3.
Yeah.
And we have Bloodghast.
Yeah, we do. We got a brew going here, I think. There is there has been some discard support too lately. With like Tiny Bones and stuff.
It's rough over here. Bomet Courier.
Yeah. Oh
go
yeah,
back.
Bomet Courier works too. Absolutely.
That's your boy.
Yep, discard your hand. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
we
like-
finally found a place to make Bomet Courier good.
Like, could this... Yeah, that's
Or
what
when you loot, like Looter Scooter.
Looter Scooter, I mean, I think it's here for cycling. Right? Like,
Oh,
you cycle
yeah,
a card.
yeah, probably.
You cycle a card to get a 2/2. I mean, if you tack, like... If all of your spells have... All your cyclers have, like, make a 2/2.
Make a
That's
2/2.
great.
Yeah. I mean, this might be just better Zenith Flare. Like, can you build like a cycling deck around this thing?
I think, like, the advantage with Zenith Flare is you got paid off for all the cyclers that were already in your graveyard.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right, as opposed to this, it has to be out.
Yeah.
But, like, if you were to tell me that I play Zenith Flare game 1, and then
pivot
to, like, my game plan is going to be whatever the fox is,
Yep.
that gets +1/+1 whenever you, like, cycle,
Yep.
and then you cut your Zenith Flares and you play Crypt Collar Chariot, and you're just
Yep.
like, all right, turn 5 or turn 4 Chariot, go. And if you untap, you on your end step or on their end step, you just put 10 power onto the board,
Yeah.
and you just juke your way around the drawback.
Yep.
Like the Zenith. I mean, that could be like Like that would be like a reasonable thing to do, where you get to keep your main game plan and you just kind of switch win cons.
Juke. Yeah. I mean, this might be a decent juke for Hollow One also.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like late game, but like Burning Inquiry put 6 power onto the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that seems very reasonable. So we have vehicles, and then we have mounts and saddle.
Yep.
So like living vehicles, check. We just did these.
The card we have to show it off is Venom Sac Lagak, 1 and a green for a 2/1 with Death Touch. It's a lizard mount. Whenever it attacks while saddled, it gets +0/+3 till end of turn, and it has saddle 2. We just had saddle. I'm sure you all remember how saddle works. It's crewing, but for creatures.
Yeah. Because you can ride them and race them. There we go.
Yep. I'm gonna race my Venom Sac.
All right. All right. And then we have cycling.
Yep.
The like evergreeniest mechanic that is not evergreen.
Right.
That should just be like almost in every set. I am willing to bet that we don't have any cycling 1s in the format.
Probably not.
Cycling 2 is like fine. Cycling 1 is breaks multiple formats.
Yeah, they also said, again in the stream, not in the debut video, that this card that I have on the screen right now is not an example of this. This is Light Shield Parry. It's a white mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn and has cycling 2. But they did say on the stream that they tried to make the cards that had cycling have a reason to cycle them besides just cycling them. So like cycle with a trigger.
Okay.
And that by itself like raises the price of cycling.
So probably the best one, I mean, it is a mythic, so have you seen Valor's Flagship?
I have. Give me 1 second. I will pull it up on the screen.
So it is 4 white for a legendary artifact vehicle. It has flying, first strike, and lifelink with crew 3. And it has cycling X and 2 white. And whenever you cycle this card, create X 1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens with when this token saddles, mounts, and crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. Interesting that our pilots now are also jockeys.
Hey, you can drive anything. They're all Dom.
They're all Dom Toretto. That's right.
Yep.
They're all baby drivers. It'll just go. So this is what Decree of Justice is the like classic like X2 white.
Yep.
And that was in a limited environment not too long ago. Like one of the special
sets, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And like didn't play great.
Yeah.
But I did see, I think maybe Saffron Olive tweeted this, and I agree that right, like I think this could be maybe, depending on what you're thinking, like in addition to Greasefang.
Sure.
Right, like
it puts itself in the graveyard.
They sometimes they play Council's Flagship.
Yep.
Or Sky
Big
Sovereign.
Boat.
Yeah, Big Boat. They play Big Boat. So this is very different than Big Boat, right?
Yeah.
But it puts itself in the graveyard, and let's say your opponent turns off your graveyard.
Right.
Okay, and the game goes long. I'm just gonna like pay 7 mana and make
a
4
bunch of 2/2s. Or 1/1s.
Yeah, make a bunch of 1/1s and just have like that going on. And like in game 1, like it bounces back to your hand, so you're just like,
Cycle it.
I'll cycle it for, 4 mana, make a 1/1.
Yep.
Put it into play, try to attack, whatever happens, bounce it back to my hand.
Yep.
I'll cycle it for 5 mana, make 2 1/1s, and you can like slowly like grind out some value.
I mean, don't forget that you're also drawing a card every time you cycle it. So.
Oh yeah, this is true. Yeah, I forgot all about that. I was just like, I'm just putting it in the graveyard. So like this could be a like Nothing's Parhelion
Right.
in that regard. Like, nothing's going to leave behind that much, like, stuff. But, like, this is a good, like, thing that helps you find your pieces and puts one of them into the graveyard.
Yep.
It entombs itself and tries to draw you your Grease Fang. It's pretty good.
Seems pretty good. And that is all for mechanics.
It's all for the mechanics? Okay.
So now that we have talked about the mechanics, do we have any thoughts on the environment, the set, the mechanics?
So, we've mentioned it a few times, but, like, really hard to track in paper.
Yeah.
We've
A
talked
lot of this stuff is hard to track in paper.
We've talked about it before, and when I put, like, this is impossible to track, like, in Discord, someone's like, they just designed for Arena now.
Yep.
And that's 100% true, but it's, like, sad that that's, like, where we are. That it's just, like, they're not even trying to make these cards work, like, in an LGS setting. Or, like...
I mean, do they have incentive to do that, though? Like, if everybody's playing Commander, and everybody that's not playing Commander is playing Arena, then, like, is there a reason to design cards not for digital? You know what I mean? Like, is the tracking issue that big a deal anymore?
Probably not. Like, I complain about a tracking issue, but at the same time, though, I think the last time I, like, sleeved up and played actual cards was June?
Yeah.
So, like, 7 months ago. And, like, the last time you sleeved up cards and played was maybe 2 presidential administrations ago.
Probably.
Yeah, because early 2020.
Yeah.
Trump won, then Biden.
Well, no, I had gone to a couple pre-releases, like, during COVID.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, it's been years for sure.
So, you might be right. It may not be a thing. Like, it just might be dinosaur talk of, like...
Yeah.
I just feel like... And again, it's a thing that has definitely changed. There was so much talk in, like, Magic Design 10 years ago about avoiding tracking issues.
Right.
Right? Like, I have, like, internalized that as, like, hey, we should try to avoid tracking issues.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, the Arena does it, and no one plays outside of Arena. So, who cares about tracking issues?
Yep.
This is not a great day for our sign, for our logo.
Yeah, I just thought I'd try it.
And then I do like your, like, seems aggressive.
Yeah, like, if you look at these mechanics, they all encourage attacking. Like, start your engines. You need to be dealing damage to your opponent, like it wants you to attack. The exhaust is, like, a big thing that you do once, which is, like, typically an aggressive thing. You know what I mean? Like,
You're not accruing value over time with this. You get, like, a burst of advantage.
Yeah,
and
you
have
get
to
one
use
shot. Right. Like, mounting, saddling, like, vehicles, they all kind of encourage you to attack. Like, the purpose of them is for kind of getting out ahead of the curve.
Like, saddling doesn't do anything unless you attack, which is why I think when we had in Thunder Junction, we were like, this might be aggressive because this mechanic doesn't do anything unless you are attacking. Yeah. And vehicles are often, like, wildly overstated.
Right.
For what they are.
Yeah, trying to get you out ahead of the curve.
Right, like, well, you've got to dump another creature into this to make it do anything, so we have to, like, pay you off for, like, you know, basically taking 2 creatures out of, like, combat, like your vehicle plus the thing that crewed it. Mm-hmm. And so they make them overstated so that, you know, a hit from a 3-mana 5/5, like, takes a big chunk out of you and, like, makes the game short.
Right.
And there seemed like there were a lot of things that were, like, get taste.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the theme of the set is a race.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's trying to get to the finish line as fast as possible. Like, it would kind of make sense that the set is about going fast.
Oh, and I guess we should point out in the aggressive thing, right? Like, vehicles give your creatures haste.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of, sort of.
Right, like you play your vehicle the turn before, and every creature that you play
Has haste.
gets to do something and use their power the turn they come into play.
Yep.
So you pay a vehicle that's a 3-mana 5/5.
Yep.
That needs crew 2. Then you play something with 2 power. That thing gets to use its power.
Hop in the chariot.
Yeah, hop in the chariot. There we go.
Yep.
A 4-mana 5/5. Like, I do like the cycling idea you had with that. It's interesting.
Yep.
So yeah, again, I think it's just we're old men yelling at clouds. I remember not being a huge fan of energy, and now it's just a thing that has been around for so long. You're just used to it, because I remember it's saying why are we adding another thing to track?
Right.
Right, and now it's just kind of okay, yeah, fine.
Yep. I need an energy, an experience, a speed, a city's blessing,
a dungeon, an initiative dungeon.
Yep.
Experience counters.
Monarch.
Poison counters.
Poison counters.
What else can we give ourselves here?
I mean, any number of emblems, I guess.
Yeah. But so maybe start your engines will just become second nature, but it's hard that it is a trigger that you have to remember. Thank goodness I don't think we have pain lands. Could you imagine having to
oh yeah,
on your turn, if your opponent tap their pain land, now you have
do
to
we not
trigger?
have pain lands?
Do we?
I thought we did.
Oh gosh, we might. See here. That just seems like it adds an extra layer of Yep, Brush Lance is in standard.
Yeah, I thought so.
So yeah, so now your opponent taps their pain land on your turn, and now you have to remember to give yourself more speed.
Yeah.
So. Boom.
Yeah, legal in standard.
Legal in standard. But yeah, so we'll see. Again, I might just be old man, I don't like to start your engines. It sounds goofy.
But everything else nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, some of the Dustborn mechanics felt goofy, but you played them and they were alright.
Yeah.
And their goofiness kind of wore off.
Yeah.
Or it was at least a non-offensive level of goofy once you were actually doing it. But yeah, first looking at start your engines as a mechanic in Magic, you're God, we've done backflips over that. We've done backflips over the shark.
Yeah. I do think somebody needs to template up a start your engines token with a drag racing Christmas tree.
I mean, you have demonstrated the ability to generate proxies in the past.
Yeah, they took away all my tools though.
Could you does Mid-Journey know what magic cards are? Could you
maybe
hey AI, can you generate me a magic card?
Maybe.
Do you know what magic cards are?
I don't know. You'd have to see.
And then see, so maybe.
I don't know if Midjourney would know how to do graphic design. If it's only ever been trained on making an image. Because there's a difference between making an image and graphic design, you know what I mean?
Fair, yeah. But there we go. We can work on that. We can figure that one out.
Yeah.
All right, so you got anything else?
I do not, unless you got anything else you want to add about the set as a whole so far.
No? So with that, I think we got a show.
We got a show.
If you want to reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Discord, X, Blue Sky, email, all those links are in the description. Check them out. Say hey. Let us know what you think. If there are any cards that pop up here in the next week that you're like, ooh, like they should talk about this, let us know.
Yeah, we probably got, I think pre-release is the 7th, if I remember correctly, which means we will probably have all of the cards by the 31st. So, like the 3rd, 3rd or 4th, we'll probably record or start our set review episode. So if you got any cards you want to make sure we talk about, get them to us by then. Any of those ways Brian talked about, or on Discord. All those links are down in the description. If you want to support the show, 2 ways to do it. The first is our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, do your shopping, support the show at the same time. The second is via Patreon, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Get access to our unshow, get access to our show notes, support the show, chip a couple bucks in. Show us you appreciate us.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate it.
So with that, we'll catch you on the internets.
We'll catch you on the internets.